Lois Lee says she could have worked in the movie industry or in politics. Instead, she chose to dive into social work while still in college after she learned how many minors became involved in prostitution. Lee decided back in 1981 to do something to help them because no one else was.
And I called their parents, and their parents said, no, they can't come back here. I called social workers, and they said, no, prostitution's a crime. And we won't take them. We don't want to mix them with our kids. And I called the juvenile court judges. I went down to the courts and spoke with the judges, and they said, you know, she's only committing a crime against herself, and she's not hurting a taxpayer. So it doesn't warrant spending taxpayers' money on her. And so these kids literally fell between the cracks of the system, and there was no place for them to stay.
Lee, who was only 20 at the time, opened a makeshift shelter in her small apartment for teenagers who found themselves in a difficult situation and had to resort to prostitution. Over the next couple of years, she housed over 250 children there.
The largest number was 11 kids one night. Yes, and they were all over the living room. It was 11 kids one night. Sometimes there'd be 2, sometimes there'd be 4.
Soon, Lee started receiving sizable private donations that she used to start the Children of the Night nonprofit to provide a proper shelter for these children. In addition to housing, she also helped teenagers with food and education. A young woman who calls herself Egypt was helped by Children of the Night. Egypt grew up in orphanages because her mother was deprived of her parental rights after being involved in prostitution and drugs. As a teenager, Egypt started using drugs and eventually turned to prostitution to survive.
So one day I told her, like, I don't want to be here. Like, these staff are horrible. Like, I had a staff call me and everything. So I was like, I'm getting tired of it. She was like, come down here and make money and just live your life.
Egypt was a victim of 2 collective rapes and also spent a year behind bars before she found her way to Lee and her program. Egypt is among some 11,000 teenagers that Children of the Night has helped in more than 4 decades of its existence. Cesar Guijarro joined the staff of Children of the Night to work with young boys who have been sexually exploited.
One of the most prominent cases that I worked with was with a 15-year-old male who was out prostituting in the streets because he was kicked out of his home by his parents because of his sexual orientation. So he was out in the streets. He was prostituting, like I said, for food to eat and a place to sleep.
Lee says that to eradicate the issue of youth prostitution, the first step is to prevent the domestic violence that targets kids.
You must understand that the homes that the children come from are worse than the lives they live with a pimp. If you don't understand that, you don't understand the problem. These children, many were brought up in crack houses. Their parents sold them for drugs. They were molested or raped before they could walk.
In 1984, Lee received the President's Volunteer Action Award from President Ronald Reagan, a mother for thousands of children that have never seen kindness before they met Lee. Genia Dulot for VOA News, Los Angeles, California.